Kindness, or I wouldn't be relevant today. How you treat people matters. That's why you're so wonderful. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me welcome everyone to today's Criminal Justice Committee meeting. It's kind of early, so we'll give, I don't know, Councilmember Morell is here, but we don't have a quorum yet. Give it a couple minutes and we'll do a roll call. We'll respect people's time, and then we'll get into our agenda. But hopefully everybody's having a wonderful Thursday. What's up, Jonah? We're going to start the meeting as an information meeting. Roll call, Madam Carr.
Roll call. We got Councilmember Thomas, Councilmember Moreno, Councilmember Morell, Councilmember Harris, Councilmember King. We have 2 members. We do not have a quorum.
So we cannot move for approval of the minutes, but what we can do is our partners from Job Corps here. Guys, if you guys could come to the table, introduce yourselves, and start your presentation, please. And thank y'all for coming to share with this really important mission. If you could come here, yeah, absolutely. We got a seat and a mic for you. Introduce who's going to be doing the presentation. And for folk who may not know, unfortunately, the Trump administration has sent out notices to Job Corps throughout the country, either closing or threatening to shutter or close Job Corps. And in this community, I know through my political relationship, being their speaker several times, coming talk to the different classes and having relationships with the administration there, Job Corps is not only a safety net or a stopgap measure. Job Corps, when you talk about pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, when you talk about doing a 180 wherever you are in life, Job Corps has been vital to any success that we've had here in the city of New Orleans. So this presentation is hopeful for people who are watching to rally support. We've been in conversation with our Congressman, Troy Carter, who sent a letter who outlined why it's important. So we're hoping that Senator Cassidy Kennedy, I've even notified our governor and his people about why Job Corps, if you don't think it's important anywhere else, we know it's important here in New Orleans. Director Odom, if you could introduce your guests and start your presentation.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for having us. I do want to go ahead and introduce us. My name is John Odom, Center Director of the New Orleans Job Corps Center. I also have my Business and Community Liaison and Work-Based Learning Coordinator, Ms. Samantha Williams, and my Programs Director, Mr. Ken James. All right. First, I want to start off by showing you just some clips and sound bites of some of the media that has been put out by the National Office of Job Corps. We'll start there, and then we'll go into just a one-pager, with some facts about the program. We'll start now. Sir?
Sound is awful.
Okay.
Help. That should be.
So it's no, well, it won't be any audio. Just, I'm sorry. Okay. It's okay.
Anyone who may want to speak on this issue and get on the record for supporting Job Corps, if you could fill out a card and turn it in, and we'll, after the presentation, we'll identify and acknowledge and give an opportunity to our speakers. Yeah, fill out a yellow card and turn it in, please. If you guys could try again, make sure we turn up the audio, please. Increase the volume.
The Department of Labor has chosen to pause or close all contractor-operated Job Corps centers nationwide by June 30th, 2025, using a termination of convenience clause to bypass Congress for already appropriated funds.
Madam Secretary, this administration is recklessly and unlawfully freezing and stealing congressionally appropriated funds from agencies, programs, and services across the government that serve the American people. And the Congress holds the power of the purse. It is in the Constitution, Article 1, Section 9, Clause 7. We've appropriated 2025, and understand that 2025, the numbers are based on 2024. That's the budget. But everyone on the other side of the aisle voted for a continuing resolution that says let's continue the 2024 budget. And in that 2024 budget for 2025, the Congress appropriated $2.9 billion for WIOA grants to states and for job training programs. It's a violation of the law and of the Constitution to steal the appropriated funds from this committee or any other committee and move the dollars wherever you want to. No, it's against the law.
The fight is not over. Please go to SaveJobCorps.com for more information.
On April 25th, 2025, the Job Corps Transparency Report was released.
Well, let's go to that transparency report you refer to consistently. All these numbers are based upon data from really the heart of the COVID epidemic, in which, because of COVID, 34% enrollment was at 34%. Today, enrollment is at 75%. And if you ran those numbers today, the course per student would go down dramatically. So your argument that this is just a waste and too expensive is a direct result, a calculated result of picking the most favorable point you could to reinforce an argument I would suspect the administration had before you even got there, which is let's get rid of this program.
Please visit SaveJobCorps.com to help us save the Job Corps program.
Job Corps. Say no to block grants.
A central component of your plan is to eliminate WIOA, that's the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, WIOA adult and youth programs, and replace them with a block grant to states. But you propose to provide $1.6 billion less to train America's workforce. A block grant is a cut. You go to any state in this nation, you tell them it's a block, they know it's a cut, and we know it's a cut. States cannot afford to pick up the slack.
The block grant is a deliberate approach that's been taken by many administrations to gradually end programs.
Job Corps is a comprehensive, holistic, nationwide program training skilled workers since 1964. Eliminating it for block grants would provide reduced services for our most vulnerable youth. Please go to SaveJobCorps.com for more information.
Job Corps has been a proven pipeline for skilled workers since 1964.
You propose to eliminate Job Corps. How would that impact the hiring needs of employers looking for skilled workers?
Since 1964, Job Corps has equipped skilled workers for in-demand jobs through training and pre-apprenticeship programs that have adapted over time, serving as a vital workforce pipeline employers can't afford to lose. Visit SaveJobCorps.com for more information.
Make America Skilled Again proposal aims to entirely eliminate Job Corps as a federal program.
You propose to eliminate Job Corps, where we know that there are more than 10,000 youngsters waiting to get in.
What I've heard already is that you've ceased background checks on new students, so they cannot enroll new students going forward at this point.
Yeah, there is a pause.
Job Corps enrollments have been paused since March of this year. Please act now to help us stop the pause.
Thank you for your patience with those videos. I really just wanted to make sure that, we got all of the facts in, when coming in front of you all. I also put together or sent you all just a list of the false statements, that have been talked about in the media. And I wanted to make sure that we went through those and make sure we clear the air, as far as these statements that have been made. Okay, so I'll go through those briefly, just to make sure that, everybody understands, okay?
Please.
So this first false statement, Job Corps graduation rate is 38.6%. The Transparency Report examines data from July 1, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. Job Corps' current graduation rate is higher. Like other schools and colleges, enrollment and graduates rates were depressed by COVID-19 policy. Historically, Job Corps graduation rates have been above 60%. Under previous administrations, DOL, or the Department of Labor, began requiring students with a high school diploma to participate in remedial academic classrooms until they are college ready, regardless of whether that aligns with their career goals. This leads students to leave out of frustration and has caused a decline in graduation rates. Another false statement. Job Corps costs as much as $155,600 per student. Job Corps costs less than $50,000 per enrollee, according to the Department of Labor's report. This is an increase from a report during the first Trump administration, which indicated the cost per enrollee was $34,301. This increase is due almost entirely to COVID-19 restrictions on the number of students Job Corps is allowed to serve, some of which are still in place. The next false statement. Job Corps cost per graduate is higher than four-year colleges. 49% of four-year college students graduate within 4 years at an average cost of $38,270. That amounts to a cost per graduate of $312,408. 35% of community college students graduate within 3 years at an average cost of $11,884 per year. That amounts to a cost per graduate of $110,717. A report during the first Trump administrations prior to COVID policies reported Job Corps' average cost per graduate to be $57,312. The next false statement, Job Corps is no longer achieving its intended outcomes, when in fact Job Corps graduates exceeds the wage goals set by the Department of Labor in program year 2023. The next false statement, Job Corps students are largely hired in minimum wage positions earning $16,695 per year, when in fact Job Corps students were placed in jobs earning an average wage of $17.13 during program year 2023, more than twice the minimum wage of $7.25. Graduates earned annualized wages of more than $31,000. The first misleading statement, there are fewer than 25,000 students enrolled. Job Corps enrollments were greater than 25,000 and increasing in April, but have since declined because of DOL, or the Department of Labor, halted enrollments in March. And the last misleading statement is there were 14,913 serious incidents reports filed in 2023, when in fact, per the Department of Labor's reporting requirements, these serious incidents include power outages and inclement weather, athletic injuries that require treatment, and adult students leaving campus without prior approval. So these false statements and misleading statements, is some of the things that were used in the attempt to shut down the center. And as of yesterday, like I'm pretty sure a lot of people know, is that the TRO, or the temporary restraining order that was filed, was approved. So we're back to business as usual. The biggest thing for me is to let everybody know that the program works. It works, and I'm a product of that program. I spent 3 years living on a Job Corps center, and it has literally turned me into the person I am today. And so the program works. What we're here to do today is to grant support, or ask for support, a voice to speak for us, just like we do for the students here on center. We're their voice. So this is us speaking for these students.
Any comments from your coworkers? Ms. Williams, Mr. James?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks again for allowing us to be here and for the support that you've shown, particularly Councilman Thomas for being there always. But everything that Mr. Odom says is absolutely true. We've actually brought some students with us to kind of show what it is we have to offer the community. A lot of the questions that we've been asked are, what effect will this closing have on the community? And it's an absolute ripple effect that will happen. It's a domino effect. If we take young people that are coming to our center and our program to better themselves in the community, thereby bettering the community, and we put them back into treacherous sometimes situations, we can't expect anything but the negative. And they have made the commitment to themselves to come into a program like ours that is absolutely necessary in the community to better the community. We have success stories that we could sit here all day and tell you about students that are making upwards of $30 an hour, 19, 20, 21-year-old students, former students that are making that kind of money because of the placements that we've gotten them through our program. So it absolutely does work. The TRO gives us an extension to some degree to be able to continue this fight. And we're asking anybody within the sound of our voices to reach out to senators and congresspeople, because it's kind of in the Senate's hands right now. And for the council to reach out and help us on that end is invaluable. So we're asking for all the support that we can, because we still have a limited time to do what we have to do.
Thank you. I mean, Job Corps for me is easy. I think we're here because I think that everyone on the council and everyone in the city should support this. Job Corps has been personal to me. I'm there because of family members, friends. So for most of my life, either family members and friends have gone through Job Corps. A lot of people that I grew up with, my own blood, and of course being the speaker there and someone who's been called to mentor and be involved in not just the day-to-day operation, but what happens with the kids there. So I don't think that I care any more than anyone else. I think we're here because I knew that all of my colleagues and everyone in the city would feel the same way. Councilmember Morrell.
Yeah, a couple of points. First, I want to be very clear. We see what's going on with the Trump administration right now on some of their ancillary plans when they fail to cut programs in court. As you know, particularly with PBS right now, the Trump administration is now going through the rescission process, where when they are unable to cut congressionally mandated funds like Job Corps, now they're going back to Congress to try and get them to cut it. So to your point, it is so important that everyone reach out to their congressmen, to their senators, because that is the next step. I do believe that for many of these programs like Job Corps, the DOGE effort to get you cut outside the congressional process is not going to work, but that does not mean that the Trump administration won't go through the traditional process to try to do rescission to get that money back. So it's extremely important to not let off the pressure because we've seen some legal victories. I do want to talk about block grants for a second, because it's actually much worse than the congressman described. Exactly. Block grants aren't just a cut to funding. When a block grant goes to a state, the state gets to determine all the qualifications and gets to create their own oversight over block grant funding. When you look at what's going on at the state level currently with the Landry administration, you look at things like the obsession with juvenile arrest records. They could create all new levels of criteria to qualify for a Jobs Corps program. They could say, for example, you have to have a certain GPA. They could limit money to certain geographical locations. They could say you have to have a clean juvenile record to go into a Jobs Corps program. Now, we all think juvenile records are sealed. Not anymore, they're not. Because under the Landry administration, they are unsealed now. So the block grants aren't just less money. It allows states to take the ideology at a state level, create a whole new criteria on how that money is pushed down to the local level, and even control where it goes locally. So When you have the jobs program going at the federal level, they determine in an equitable way how the money's distributed. They don't let state government make that choice. And whether it's the governor or whether it's the legislature is predominantly rural and predominantly Republican. Even if there is money that comes to the legislature, less money, the programs in major urban areas, despite their having the greatest need, will be the first to get cut because politically, that's what they'll do. The last comment I want to make is that DOGE. It is so on brand that DOGE cherry picks data to target groups and organizations they want to defund, and while simultaneously hiding or de-emphasizing data for groups that they want to increase funding to. For example, as you guys illustrated in your presentation, they're cherry-picking jobs data for job training during a period where the federal government said you couldn't work on the job. Exactly. And I mean, they literally picked, it's sort of like how after Katrina, when they were allocating money for universities, they picked UNO's 2005 enrollment to determine how funding would go. Well, UNO pre-Katrina was 12,000, 15,000 students. The year of Katrina, it was 2,000. And the Blanco administration, Republican legislature, gutted UNO because they picked the worst possible year and said, here's how we're going to do data. When you look at what's going on with Jobs Corps, that is par for the core for like conservative ideology of cherry-picking programs that help people they don't want to help and eliminating it. I would say in the same breath, DOGE has nothing to say about us paying SpaceX for rockets that blow up, us paying SpaceX for self-driving cars that get in wrecks, and us paying Tesla, for batteries that don't work. All that data doesn't exist. But the cherry-pick data to target programs that benefit urban communities, benefit youth with tremendous returns, they pick the worst possible data as talking points to go on the Hill with. And I really want to applaud our congressman for calling that out, but the challenge we have as individuals is that's not enough. No one watches C-SPAN. I mean, we're doing cuts from C-SPAN, but no one watches that. It's incumbent upon us to educate people in our communities as to how important this is. The last thing I want to say is we have seen a tremendous, monumental drop in crime in the city of New Orleans. It is generational drop in crime. And there is often a focus on the law enforcement aspect as being the sole reason for that. But when you look at all the different things that happen, we have Jobs Corp doing its job. We have social workers in schools through Thrive Kids doing their job. We have a $7 million a year dedication through the Council Cultural and Rec Fund to fund nonprofits touching families. All these things are happening separately, and they all contribute to the drop. It's not just, we don't have any more cops. I think we've added like 5 cops in like 2 years. It's not the fact that we have more police. It's that for once, every possible way that we can deter kids going into that life, we're firing on all cylinders right now. And threatening the future of Jobs Corps, threatening the ability for kids and adults who are trying to re-enter the workforce, that is the opposite direction we should be going. We should be supercharging y'all and giving you more money. So I'm happy to lend my voice to this chorus of voices that's defending y'all. My office, like Councilman Towers' office, is always available to support you, and we're going to do our own outreach as well. And I would even argue at this point, you need to be doing outreach to state elected officials, because you want to have that safety net that if they do go to a block grant, you want to already be working those legislators, because I'm telling you, with every block program we've ever had at the state level, it is disastrous, because the reason why conservatives love block grant programs is they return power to the state, which then can create all kind of hurdles to actually getting that money to actual people. So we need to be working on 2 levels, because we need to be prepared that if we fail at every other level and it's back to block grants, we're going to be fighting at the legislature to get your money. So thank you all for being here today.
Yes, sir.
The work you do is fantastic. We do have to thank you for it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I have a few questions. it's been said, and I saw in the video, that they're actually trying to stop something that was already funded.
Right.
So explain that to the public, right? So the program is funded already. So evidently the previous Congress thought enough of this particular program that they said we would fund it again. So the money's actually there.
So the money's actually there, and the program is funded through 2026. But of course, they are trying to stop that funding, even though it's already funded. And they started that stoppage with the background checks in March, which completely halts everything that we do. So that funding, is needed on every level. But again, the stoppage started in March, with the background checks.
And they even deflated the enrollment numbers.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, 100%. The enrollment numbers, and a lot of the low enrollment numbers are still from COVID. Like I explained in the videos. The enrollment was up, and it was trending in an upward motion up until March. April's numbers were far better than where we were 2024. So, and I think it was understood, and it was purposefully done to stop that ahead of this this battle that we're in right now.
What is the average age of the Job Corps participant?
The average age is 17.
17.
We get right in the middle is the majority of the students that we receive in New Orleans.
How many on your waiting list?
We have 250 on the waiting list right now, 110 students on center, so without this stoppage, if the stoppage wasn't there, we would be at capacity and far surpassed.
Well, first let me say the reason why this is on the Criminal Justice Committee was because it has to do with crime.
It's criminal.
And one of the most shameful things that has happened in this city for far too long is we've looked at police department and we've looked at law enforcement and the criminal justice system as crime fighting tools. And they're the only ones that have been glorified when crime goes down, and in many cases funded and given more money, even when you can't recruit, even when the systems are not producing. We still feed the beast. Now, it doesn't mean that they don't deserve that, but programs like this that actually are on the front line when you talk about reducing crime are fighting for your life. The other thing is this is reminiscent to me of the battle that Southern University goes through, especially when there's a conservative legislature, governors, or elected officials who've tried to threaten to close Southern. They will underrepresent the actual numbers. They will misrepresent the impact. They'll use four-year graduation rates when in many cases folk go to schools in places like the Job Corps. They go there as long as it takes them to complete their tasks. So those numbers historically have been used against, especially not just disparaged communities, but let's be specific, African American communities in urban corridors. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Well, for any conservative or Republican or anyone who thought that we all had bootstraps, boots or straps connected to, this is a pull yourself up by your bootstraps, by your will, by your desire, by the fact that you want to improve your life. So why would you cut or defund a program that represents the very core of what you say your political ideology or philosophy is? But the other thing is, we're in a time, in a pattern right now. Some may not want to say it, but when you talk about urban centers and cities, for those who are willing to give them up, for those who are willing to dismiss leadership and the history of leadership the last 50 or 60 years, programs are now subject to that. And what did Byron Allen say about the 4 Ds? Dismiss. Oh, that's just Job Corps. They don't really do anything. The next D is discredit. Oh, no, the numbers are not what they say they are. Demonize. Oh, no, you had 14,000 incidents. And then Byron Allen would tell us the last D is destroy. But in many cases, when communities turn on themselves, when they don't think our people are good enough, and our programs are good enough, and our young people are good enough, we open the door to that type of activity. We become complicit. We become unwilling and unwitting participants. So I want to thank Councilmember Morrell for being, I really want to thank WDSU 6 for the expose, Jonah, that you guys did on one of the most important programs. And Councilmember Morrell was right. Job Corps may not get credit for crime reduction or what the police are doing with the criminal justice system, but if Job Corps isn't there, what are those 17-year-olds doing? Where are they? Where's their hope? Where's their opportunity? So guys, know that hopefully, I think we'll do something as I know I've written to our congressional delegation. I know Councilmember Morrell and others will do the same. And hopefully we'll continue to do something jointly. Hopefully we can get the mayor and her administration on board and involved. But this needs to be a community effort. Any and everybody who cares about the public safety of this community, the well-being of this community, and opportunity in this community needs to support Job Corps. First speaker is Jerry. Kerry Cook, Jerry Cook. Oh, Mr. Cook.
I'll tell you one thing for certain. How y'all doing?
We're doing good, pretty good. Bless you, Mr. Cook.
To everybody. I don't have to worry about being too nervous about speaking before a big old crowd, huh? But I'll say what I have to say to this small crowd. I'm an ex-educator myself, and I know what getting trades can do for the human mind and the conduct and character of the men and women who get that. I've seen changes in them that take place. But that's not the main thing I want to talk about. I want to talk about what you was talking about, that crime aspect. When you take this whole, they get a little allowance for going to Job Corps. And some of these people depend on them little allowance and they look forward to it, and this gives them a goal to set or a conduct they got to maintain for a certain character to get these little rewards they get, the allowances. You know, after a certain amount of days, they get enhanced. Nobody's thinking about that. Nobody's thinking about the human aspect of these people who actually need the training and the little allowance to go with it. Nobody's thinking about how they need that association. You follow what I'm saying? To make them relate to people, because this is becoming an inhumane society because of that. The Job Corps does more than just one thing. But I just like to say this. Instead of taking money from Job Corps, they should give more money to Job Corps for the crime rate and for the human development aspect and for just humaneness itself. Thinking about these young people between the ages of 16 and 24 who are going to be involved in this particular program. It's just like, where are they going to go? They can't go to NORD. NORD's been kind of messed up a little bit lately. They're taking money from that. They should be giving money to these type of programs, and they should never be taken from them. And I frown on anybody who would vote to get rid of that particular program. I love anybody who would want to make it better, though. Maybe we have some people that are not performing like they should to hold this up, okay? Because sometimes...
Thank you, Mr. Cook. Absolutely on point. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. We're going to send that information, but everybody gets 2 minutes. But very profound point. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Cook. Yeah. All I know is that Edward Smith, Ken James, and Samantha Williams are heroes. And to see what they do, if you've been over there every day. Mr. Odom, I know you just got here, and I know we're talking about the students in the program, but you cannot leave out the staff people and the dedicated workers who've been there, because we don't get that if they're not there. Mr. George Mahdi.
Yeah, George Mahdi, Neighborhood Unity and Merge. You know, we see this happening on the national and the local levels. You know, it's a plan to disenfranchise, deconstruct black education and economic opportunity. These programs that they're setting up today are designed to fail. All these political initiatives are set up for black people to fail, and especially black males and black youth. You know, we requested job training, and right after Katrina, we requested job training and development programs for our youth and associated with the black grassroots community in regard to renovating houses and schools. It was rejected by the master plan, blueprint, and gentrification. They're squeezing us out bit by bit. And now that they're controlling the federal government, they can implement programs that will cut us out completely. We requested more Access TV programming to get essential information to the public. And nothing has been moved on that. That's another vital part of the community that's not being addressed, that we're losing to MAGA-ism and Trump and them, you know, and Landry. And so what we are seeing is institutional racism keep going, making itself felt on the black community, because that's another way to disenfranchise our people, and especially the black male population. That's why we want to help our grassroots population. It's just racist and it's wrong. You know, we need to mass mobilize on the local level.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mahdi. Shanielle Taylor? Ms. Taylor, hopefully I pronounced your name right. Is it Chanel or Chanel? Chanel.
I'm a little short.
Go ahead, Ms. Taylor.
I'm just here as a Job Corps student, soon to be former student, sharing my experiences and the opportunities that Job Corps gave to me. I came there last year around the same time in June with no real direction as to how I was going to go, what I wanted to do with my life or anything. So I just wanted to share how they put me on a path road, gave me the structure, and basically be a testament as to how Job Corps works. So when I came, I was in a bit of a down road path. I was smoking, I was drinking, didn't really know who I was. I kind of stopped. I actually stopped. I found a passion for the medical field. I'm a CNA student, a certified nursing assistant. Going to test out on Tuesday, thanks to the program. I'll forever have a job. I'll never not want for nothing. I'll always be great. Like, I didn't have high school before I came. I got my high school diploma. I received driver's license. Wow. Just ample amount of opportunities. They are amazing with resources. Like, any staff that you see in the hall, they will talk to you. You can ask for any help, and you will get the help that you need in Job Corps. I'm pretty sure it's the same for all Job Corps across the U.S., and it's very disheartening to see everybody that's being abruptly, like, dismantled from being just thrown out of all the other centers. So, like, it's really needed. Job Corps is, like, a savior for the youth, because a lot of youth don't know what we're going to do with ourselves, and we really don't have, like, help and direction pointing to, I guess, where to go. And programs like Job Corps are needed bad.
Thank you. No, thank you, Ms. Taylor. Absolutely. Who in their right mind or sane would want to deny that? Mr. Bruce Riley.
Councilman Thomas. Definitely agree with everything that's been said. Really appreciate also JP's assessment around the legislative process and the state block grants. For those people that are outside this room that needed any kind of education on what we're dealing with at a federal and state level, this is the type of thing we're dealing with. These racist and fascist people who make millions and if not billions of dollars off the government dollar, mind you. They don't want to spend a single cent to help people get their lives together. They would rather have people living in poverty and desperate and scrambling around and then just fund this incarceration machine. And so when you do things like try to eliminate Job Corps, right, or get rid of community colleges, all the things that they're trying to do, get rid of public education, we're going to be back here in like 10 years with someone else making a proposal to expand the jail some more, right? And let's put another $150 million in that. And there's an architect for that, right? There's a vendor for that. And so I'm sick and tired of people just like giving some kind of benefit of the doubt to the people who are trying to destroy our community. And so the question isn't, whether we can identify it. The question is, how are we going to fight back against it, right? And so this body, arguably, I guess, has maybe the most power in this city, right? This body's got the pocketbook, got the purse. And we need to come up with creative solutions to fight back against Jeff Landry and Donald Trump. Jeff Landry has been saying this kind of thing longer than Donald Trump, right? And he's younger than Donald Trump. Donald Trump's going to be dead in a couple years, one way or another. Let's just be real. He's an old guy. He's not looking too good, right? Jeff Landry's going to be sticking around. And we need to worry about what this guy's got planned with his pack of hyenas around him and what I see all the time up in Baton Rouge. And we need to figure out a way to put our $1 billion to work so we can provide things for ourselves.
Bruce, before you go, I want you to help give a historical perspective. And if we could turn this mic back on. What a lot of people don't understand is that this isn't new. It's not a new play. Mm-hmm. It's not a new playbook. Some of us remember the Model Cities and CEDAR programs before they started with mandatory minimums.
Yeah.
And he took a lot of that funding for those training programs that used to happen, especially in urban corridors and in African-American communities. Once mandatory minimums happened, once they started the $1 billion investment in correctional centers and in prisons, all that money for those after-school programs, those Model City programs, those CEDAR programs, as well as federal funding that helps subsidize cities. So this isn't a new playbook. This is the same movement that they did in the late 70s to start what was that mass incarceration movement.
Yeah, and people should read the book Prison Capital, which is focused on, a great researcher, Lydia Pello-Hobbs, who's here in New Orleans, wrote about how we built up that system over the decades here in Louisiana. And I guarantee you, I'll put $100 on the table that Jeff Landry and Steve Scalise and Mike Johnson and a few others are trying to get some billions of dollars to build out a prison empire that we already have, but build even more so they can detain every single person who might look like they might be an immigrant, legal or illegal or whatever they want to call people, right? And destroy communities in the process and have this Gestapo kicking in doors, as we see on the news around the country, and saying, we can do it here. We've got the architects, we've got the GEO, we've got the LaSalle, we've got the sheriffs, and then we can employ 50,000, 100,000 more people who need jobs to stand in front of a cell, theoretically, right? And so build out this carceral system. But the key, as I think you're pointing out quite well, is they win when they get us to sort of self-implode.
Absolutely.
And you do that by getting rid of the grandparents, by locking them up. You do that by getting rid of the parents. You do that by making it so each kid is dealt with so much trauma under their belt before they reach 11 and 12. They're already kind of acting up. Of course they are, right? And then we blame that kid or we blame that young adult who's struggling. And it's organizations, it's programs like Job Corps that are like the little pieces that are standing in the breach. And we need to build that up and stop blaming the victims who are now dealing with 2, 3, 4 generations from the drug war and other things that we've been doing to our community ever since 1865.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to help give a little historical backdrop.
Yeah, for sure.
This is a continuation of something that started decades ago. Mr. Morgan, please.
Evening, everybody in the house. We must keep Job Corps open for the young generation of today. If we don't, we are dooming those people. I'm going to take you back towards, I'm going to take you to Katrina. When Katrina came through here, what happened? It destroyed the city. We didn't have local people to get this city back together. So what we settled for? We settled for out-of-towners. They came in here, fast work, high cheap labor, put all the work what they call together. What happened 3 or 4 years after? All the construction work they did, it fell apart. That's what we want? Job Corps throwing out professional people. Job Corps is needed. Job Corps remind me of industrial art. When I went to school, you had industrial art. And industrial art turned out the best craftsmen that the city has ever seen. I say to your council, please keep Job Corps open. And Donald Trump and Jeff Landry, I'm going to tell you about Jeff Landry. You may not want to hear it or think I'm lunatic and everything else, but this is reality. You see that French Quarter tragedy that happened? Jeff Landry made it possible. When he was elected, he made it possible for anybody to come in this city to carry a gun. He opened the door for this fellow to come in the city and carry a gun and cause that tragedy of people getting killed and people getting hurt. But the saddest part about it, nobody said nothing about it. Because you know why? He had everybody in the city afraid of him. And I'm going to show you something else. 3 days after that happened, he had a press conference on television. 3 people, him, the mayor, and another person. And they spoke about the tragedy in the French Quarter. And when they came to him, you all watch my face. When they came to him and it was over, this was in his face. You know why that was in his face? That was the indication that he was glad that nobody didn't ask the question, well, just that.
Thank you.
If you didn't authorize anybody to carry a gun in the city, that would have happened. That's what he was afraid of.
That's right.
He called it that.
Thank you. Ms. Yasmin Hawthorne. Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Ms. Hawthorne. Followed by Tracy Rogers. Ms. Hawthorne, you first.
Hello.
Hello.
How are y'all?
How are you?
I'm good. I just want to start by saying thank y'all for having us. It means a lot that y'all are giving us this platform to kind of speak out. I just want to say that when I first started at Job Corps, I had nothing going for myself. I wanted to go outside every day. I was drinking every day. I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself. I needed an out, and I knew I needed an out, but I didn't know how I was going to get to that out. And honestly, I was thinking about Job Corps, but I was like, I don't know if this is something I want to do. However, once I got to Job Corps, I felt like I had a lot of guidance. I was a little bit rough around the edges. All of that changed. A lot of stuff was put into perspective for me. I started sitting at, tables where I would be able to grow. I would have opportunities to do what I needed to do outside of myself. I felt like I had like a support system. Yeah, that's really it for me.
Thank you.
Huh?
You're doing good.
Oh, I lied. I'm not done.
You're doing good.
I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all making me nervous.
You're doing well.
Thank you. My trade is certified clinical medical assistant. I just tested out last Friday. So I have 2 out of my 4 or 5 credentials. We're currently working on job placement. Hopefully we can get some good jobs.
Thank you.
Miss Sam.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Rogers? Thank you, Ms. Hawthorne.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Tarion Rogers, and I would like to speak on my experience. I would like to speak on my experience at Job Corps. Before I discovered the Job Corps program, I was really in a dark place in life. I really felt like I wasn't going anywhere, and I didn't really see myself doing anything. But upon, I don't even know what it was. I think one day I was just scrolling on Instagram and I saw an ad for Job Corps. So then I had looked into it and I said, this looks like something that I could do. And I remember when I was younger, I always wanted to work in healthcare. So when I saw that they had made whatever I wanted to do accessible to me, I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. That's why this is important, and that's why what you're doing is important.
I'm sorry.
And you're important.
When I found out that they had made what I wanted to do accessible for me, I just automatically applied. And upon starting the program, I found out exactly what I wanted to do for myself. I made a life plan because they've made everything that I've wanted to do accessible. Like they have an advanced training program that I was so excited to go into. But if they cut funding for it and the program's no longer open, I can't do any of that. They had, I had discovered a sense of community while at Job Corps. It feels like we're all a family. Me and my classmates, it feels like we're just a big family. All the staff, they genuinely care about the students. They make us feel heard. They make us feel seen. They make us feel loved. We always have somebody to go to. We always have somebody to talk to. And I know without this program, I wouldn't have had any of the positive experiences I've had, and I wouldn't have had the ability to do anything. And I'm not even close to being finished with my program, and I know that if it...
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Chastity, please. Go ahead, Ms. Chastity.
It's on. All right, good afternoon, everybody. And I just want to say thank y'all. Thank y'all for having us. We're very appreciative that y'all willing to hear us out and hear our voices, because as of now, it feels like we're being silenced, and this is a very big opportunity for most of us. Piggybacking off what my schoolmates have said, that most of us, when we came to the program, we was lost. We didn't know what we wanted to do with our lives. Being in your early 20s, you're being a teenager, you're just so lost and misguided. Especially, can I speak freely?
Absolutely.
Especially the African American community. So it's really heartbreaking to see that they're willing to tear something like this down, knowing that it could benefit us in so many ways. But when it comes to something negative as jails and things like that, they hop on that opportunity to build that jail and fill that jail up. But this is something that can help us years from now, and everybody is so against it and Trump wants to shut it down. And I really, my heart goes out to my friend Tarion, she's nowhere near being done. And I can speak for myself when I say that it has really given me a great opportunity to find myself. It feel like I done found the home. Mr. Odom, Miss Sam, Mr. James, I can confide in them. I'm sorry, I'm trying not to cry. I can confide in them and really come to them for anything when it comes to jobs or mental, anything, considering to my mental, just anything in general. And I would really hate to see it go. I'm glad we're pushing for this.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Mr. Earl Hagan. And our last speaker is Mr. Chewy Clark.
How you doing? Thank you, Councilman Thomas. I've seen this before. I went to Booker T, and I can remember around that time, habitual offenders, 3 strikes laws started to ramp up. And at that same time, defunding, we wasn't calling it defunding at the time. We just knew that we were losing funds for vocational at Booker T. Washington. I'm pretty sure you can remember this.
Correct.
And at the same time, we didn't have a voice. The people, when I say people, the young people that actually went to those schools, Booker T. Washington, at the height of it, when I was going there, was one of the only schools that provided vocational training. What the numbers didn't say was that, and this may be a bad example, a lot of those kids that went there, they went to school not to go to language and all these other things, but they saw an opportunity to get out with skilled labor, mechanics, agriculture, air conditioning, refrigeration, all those things. Now the numbers would say that academically it was poor, but on a skill level, if they were actually monitoring those things, brilliant minds. Not everybody's scholars, academic achievers. And as a result of that, something like 32 years of skilled labor laws. And I could almost guess that if this happens, maybe another 30 plus years of skilled labor, roughly, maybe, I don't know. I'm a result of what happened in '92 as a result of losing funding for skilled laborers in the grand scheme of things. So I can only imagine what the ramifications would be in the future. This is not a now thing, this is a future thing.
Absolutely correct.
You know, so I'm in full.
Thank you. No, brilliant and profound perspective. Absolutely on point. Mr. Chuy Clark.
As always, my name is Albert Chuy Clark. I'm always here representing 3 groups. One of them is Neighborhood Unity. The other one is Emerge Mobilization, Racism in Government. And my last one is the POCC, Prison Council Committee. It was interesting that we have the folks from Job Corps here, you know, talking about their funding. You know, again, you know, we think that, you know, Job Corps folks should have been here a long time ago, but they should have been here, you know, in support of the abandonment of vocational training in the public school system. You know, and again, you know, we got to learn how to fight together. You know, and I think that's one of the things we do bad. You know, we allow the enemy to, you know, to you know, manipulate us to fight, you know, our individual battles. You know, and I think, you know, Job Corps folks, I guess they didn't realize at some point in time, you know, their funding was going to be on the line. You know, and you know, folks think about, well, this Trumpism, you know, it's a little bigger than Trumpism, you know. You know, these folks been hacking at, you know, our attempt to, you know, stay the course, you know. And I think, you know, again, it's just so important, you know, that these folks, you know, folks from Job Corps, you know, I know, you know, they're concerned about their jobs and the interest, but, you know, just hope that they get involved in other areas of our community. Again, we got our kids, you know, young kids, you know, they're going to be the victim, you know. Once they eliminate, you know, Job Corps, you know, then they're going to begin to focus on, you know, the crime problems, as they like to say, crime problems.
Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Clark. Before Mr. Hobbs and Ms. Williams and Mr. James close out, the testimonies, they're really not new. I mean, you could go back to, what was Job Corps' motto? I rise, you rise, we all rise together. That's been in existence since the beginning of Job Corps. But it was an effort so that we would all rise together. And I really appreciate the testimony that we've gotten from Mr. Higgins, Bruce, Mr. Clark, and others, because the money that won't just disappear. The money is not going anywhere. It's going to reappear in another fashion. But will it be to help people lift themselves up, do a 180 in their life, like Ms. Cassidy said, or Ms. Rogers said? Will it reappear in programming, like Job Corps? Or will it do like it did in the late 60s when heroin laws, if you were a user, if they caught you and you had a certain amount, they gave you a life sentence, or mandatory minimums with crack, or the whole new evolution of the prison industrial complex and the billions of dollars that it took to build it. So that money's not going anywhere. But one thing we do know, if they close Job Corps, if they defund Job Corps, it's not going to our community. It's not going to the people who benefit the most. It's not going to the families of folk who want to do something different with their lives. So I would hope that everybody listening to this, in the business community, the political community, every branch of government, every news station, anybody who has a heartbeat or half a soul would actually get behind this, because if you think crime has been bad, what's going to happen to those 300 plus, 400 plus folk who are looking at Job Corps to help them redirect their lives or change their lives? Period. And that's the realities of it. We celebrate African American women for startup, but they don't tell you the fine print that says they can't get resources to stay up. 6 months later, their business is closed. What did the FMBC economic report in 2024 said on the nation's economy? Ms. Higgins, it said that black men and boys are being left out of the nation's economy. So you leave me out of the economy, but you're mad if I show up in your driveway, or in your store, or in your neighborhood. But I can show up at Job Corps. I can show up in that classroom. I can show up in that counselor's office, and then ultimately show up in the job. So please join us in making sure that we don't just save this program, but that we fund it to the extent that it should be funded to make the difference that it's continued to make. Mr. Hobbs, any closing thoughts or comments from you and your team?
I just want to say that I do appreciate you all lending us this platform, to use our voice. We do appreciate any support that you all give, to this fight. And just thank you again. I think that everyone here shares the same, feeling when it comes to the program, so anything that can be done, we do appreciate it.
Congressman Carter has been on point. His initial letter to the Trump administration, his conversations with me. Let's support him. Let's write Cassidy and Kennedy, and let's write the delegation, and let's write our governor. Let's write the Speaker of the House, and let's write the Senate and state reps. They all need to be supporting this program. Let's write our New Orleans delegation so they can be on board to support this effort to send to our senators and our congressional delegation, because this program has been funded already. If the funding is already in place till 2027,
26.
Till 2026, if the funding is in place, if we know the need that it serves, if we know the consequences of our actions, if we don't fund it, everybody needs to be on the same page. And for all of the news outlets and people in the media who thought this was important, thank you guys for your stories. And let's continue to put the pressure on our elected officials to make sure that that Job Corps, that we can all, I rise, you rise, we all rise together. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.